I've spent the past week using the app Busuu and testing out all of its features. Now I'm here to tell you everything about Busuu, the good, the bad, and the ugly, plus how it compares to other apps. Hey, what's up? I'm Teddy. I'm a polyglot. I love language learning, and I've used a bunch of different apps. So today we're talking Busuu. What are its strengths? What are its limitations? And for what kind of learner would I recommend the app? But before we get into those questions, let's give an overview of what Busuu is all about. When you sign up for Busuu, you have a placement test to determine at what level you'll start at. From there, Busuu immediately places you into an interactive lesson, teaching vocabulary. Think of Busuu like a modern-day textbook with interactive exercises in a linear structure. But unlike a traditional textbook, Busuu also has these extra features that really emphasize the social aspect of learning a language. In total, the app has 4 main features in its 4 tabs: Learn, Review, Community, and Practice. So I'll explain each one and give my personal pros and cons along the way. I should also note that this app has a free version, but also 2 different paid tiers, so I'll make distinctions where necessary. The first feature is the Learn tab, and this is really the core of the app. This tab provides a series of mini lessons, each one taking about 5 to 10 minutes, teaching you a few vocabulary words, then quizzing you on them with a variety of interactive questions. Some questions are fill in the blank, some are matching, some are audio conversations where you fill in the missing word. Whatever the exercise, the point is to drill the vocab. Once you're done with one lesson, you just keep moving on to the next one, and so on, until you get to the end of chapter test. So these lessons are really the bread and butter of Busuu. I'll say in general that I think these lessons are actually pretty good and better than other apps that try to do the same thing, even if the format can be a bit tedious or repetitive for my own liking. One thing I really appreciate about these lessons is that they teach you actual everyday phrases. Like they start out with hello and how are you, which you think would be really the bar for language learning apps, but you'd find in apps like Duolingo, they start by trying to keep grammar really simple. So they teach you things like the boy ate cereal, which is not very useful day to day. I think this is a very good strong point of Busuu. Plus, Busuu uses real voices, not computer generated AI robot voices, which is very good for training your ear. Plus, I'll say that overall, Busuu has more versatile exercises, like it has a bunch of different kinds of exercises, which keeps things a bit more interesting than in other apps. For instance, they have videos and long dialogues to hear the language spoken in context. And they even have opportunities for you to reproduce the language by speaking and writing in exercises. If you pay for premiums, there are also some big pros as well. Like in the premium plan, you get offline lessons and grammar explanations. Upgrade to Premium Plus, and the app gives you a personalized study plan to keep you on track. Also, with this Premium Plus level, you get a chance to get actual language certificates that prove you're a certain level. Say you're like B1 or B2. Just all in all, I'll say that these lessons provide a clear, structured way to start learning a language. I will say though that this app is pretty skewed towards beginners from what I can see. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing either, but for instance, in my case, I tested at the highest level available in the app, which is B2. But I still found myself doing the same kinds of exercises as the A1 learners, like vocab explanations, sample sentences, fill in the blanks, which I found to be a bit limited and not really all that engaging. And for that reason, I think that intermediate learners would outgrow this app pretty quick. On the same note, the app itself says that once you get to this B2 level, you can understand movies and TV shows. But from what I can tell, the app doesn't actually really show you movies or TV shows. At the end of the day, you're just doing lessons, and the videos themselves are really just your cookie cutter dialogues, which is a bit dry in comparison with apps like FluentU that teach language through authentic videos like movie clips and TV scenes. This app also suffers a little bit from having a lack of output. I know lots of people, for instance, myself included, who used Duolingo for a long time and then still couldn't say a sentence out loud when they were asked to. And I could see this being a bit of a problem with Busuu, but I think this is also just kind of endemic to all language learning apps. It's really hard to integrate output very well, and I will give them props, as we'll see in the other features, that they do a valiant effort to integrate output into other parts of their apps. It's just that the lessons follow a very specific kind of formula. So, like I said, the lessons are the bulk of the app, but the app also has 3 other main features, which, like I said, really boost up the social element of learning. One of them is the Review tab. So once you finish a lesson, the app takes the words you learned and automatically puts them into a review system. At any point, you can review all the words you've ever learned through the app through little exercises and flashcards. That way you don't forget words you learned 5 lessons ago. Now, I love this in theory. Review should be a very big part of language learning. And the fact that the app makes these flashcards for you automatically makes it very convenient. Plus, these aren't just regular flashcards either. Busuu gives you a variety of exercises to keep the review interesting. On top of that, the app seems to be taking advantage of spaced repetition systems. For instance, Busuu will tell you if the word is hot or cold for you, helping you prioritize harder words over easier ones. But I will admit that I think this review feature was actually the most disappointing one for me personally. Not only is the free version really limiting in what you can do, but also I found that it was kind of finicky or inconsistent in its review, and it led to being kind of frustrating at times. Let me give you an example. Here I typed in that scholarship was bourse, but the app said it was wrong because I should have typed la bourse, even though the prompt was not the scholarship. So then later on, I did write it with the article, with l'intrigue, but it was looking for the word intrigue without the article. So sometimes you need the article, other times not, and there's no way for you to really know, and it makes the whole review experience kind of frustrating, personally. Maybe there's some kind of trick that I don't get here, but it came across as kind of unintuitive to me, and it made me not want to do the review sections. On top of that, these flashcards are just of individual words and do not show words in context, which I found really hurts my vocab retention. I would voluntarily make my own sentences on this, but you can't really customize your review, which is another con. Basically, when it comes to the review, I'd rather use another app that's really just made for review, like Anki or even Quizlet, which is a shame because it defeats the convenience of Busuu making these cards for you. Feature number 3 is the Community tab. Here you can interact with other users, mainly by correcting their exercises and posting exercises for others to correct. I think this is actually a pretty unique way to make language learning social, and I don't see other apps really doing what Busuu is doing here. The biggest strength, in my opinion, is that it gives users a space to practice speaking and writing with a potential for corrections. I tried this feature a few times and I always got an answer with pretty detailed notes. Also, it seems pretty safe because you're not actually interacting with people online and don't have the opportunity to give out any personal information. But personally, I couldn't see myself using this feature very much because really what you're doing is you're just sending off sentences for other people to maybe take a look at. If your goal is to interact with native speakers, then it's a bit too limited to build rapport. And if your goal is to get feedback on your writing, well, there's no guarantee that you'll get a response in the first place, let alone a thorough or accurate one. So I'll say for a certain type of learner, this could actually be really motivating and helpful, maybe in the earlier stages, but I'll say it's just not for me. The last feature is the Practice tab, which provides live lessons, including group classes and 30-minute tutoring over video chat. So as for the group classes, you have a good number of options. You can see here that in the B2 level, for instance, we have classes on cubism, we have classes on doctor's visits. And in each lesson, you work with a teacher and maybe some other students, if other students show up, and you go through this PowerPoint, which has exercises and different learning materials. I found these lessons to be very well done and to have lots of useful exercises, even if they're a bit too structured for my taste. As for the one-on-one tutoring section, I'll admit that I have not taken one of these classes. From what I've read online, though, it seems like they hire good, legitimate teachers and that these classes are actually pretty helpful. The thing is, though, looking at the schedule, it seems like certain hours are blocked out, and you only have a choice between a few different teachers. And this isn't a problem in and of itself, but when you can go on a website like italki and look at 30 different teachers and get a lesson in that very instant, it seems pretty limiting that you only have these options here in Busuu. So who would I recommend this for? I think if you have limited experience learning languages, then Busuu would be a great starting app for you. If you don't know what words and phrases to begin with, or you don't know your study style, Busuu gives clear, structured classes with everyday phrases. Plus, Busuu gives you everything in one place. So if you just don't want to think or you don't want to go searching for other apps, you don't know what's out there, Busuu keeps it simple. This might just be what you need to build confidence and create a base in a language. But as an advanced or even an intermediate learner, I couldn't see myself using this app very often. In part because there are other apps that do each of these 4 functions better than Busuu. For review, I'd rather use Anki, which I can customize with full sentences. For lessons, I'd rather use FluentU, which teaches languages through movie clips and YouTube videos. For video call lessons, I'd rather find a tutor through Preply or italki. And for community, I'd rather use an app like HelloTalk or Tandem that connects me with native speakers for real, substantive conversations. But as a one-stop shop for straightforward lessons, Busuu gets the job done. If Busuu sounds right for you, then go to their website and start an account. It's very easy. I found it to be a pretty painless process. And if you're interested in FluentU as an app, we're offering a free trial, which you can find using the link in the description below. Happy language learning.